ओम श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् अज्ञानाञ्जह्नवीतीर्थं विद्यातीर्थं विवेकिनां सर्वेषां सुखदं तीर्थं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विधुशेखरभारतीम्. Dear friends, welcome to this month's session on Prabodha SUDHAKARA. We have been looking at the 8th chapter of this text written by Bhagavad Padacharya. This chapter is titled Maya Siddhi Prakaranam, and it deals with the understanding which is presented in the Upanishads with respect to Maya. In the verses leading up to the present verse, which is the verse number 104, which we are yet to see. In the previous verses, what we have seen is the nature of Maya, how it is related to Brahman, and what is its relationship to the Srishti. Right? And Maya was revealed to be the Shakti of Brahman Shakti, which cannot exist without Brahman itself. And it was also mentioned that it is responsible for, or it is indirectly responsible for the Srishti, in the sense that Brahman, in the presence of Maya, appears as the world, we can say. In today's session, in the rest of the verses, we will see in this chapter, where the relationship of this Maya in its specific aspect with respect to the individual is revealed to us. Before starting this discussion of the relationship of Maya with the individual, with the Jiva, before starting that discussion, here there is a sort of a confidence building verse, we can say, which Bhagavad Pada has written in between these two stages. So let us now read this verse number 104 and proceed forth. Rajanivati duranta na lakshyatetra svabhavo syaha saudamini vanashyati munibhis samprakshamaneva. So here the first half of this verse is telling us how difficult it is to understand and to penetrate this entity or this apparent entity called Maya. And the second half of the verse is telling us how easy it is. Both of them are recorded in this verse. So let us now understand. Rajaniva. So Rajani means the night time. So just as the night is dark and the darkness is present everywhere and it is foreboding, it is deep depth darkness of the night. Ati Duranta, this darkness is very difficult to overcome. It appears to be very difficult to overcome. The entire world seems to be dark, right? So when the entire world seems to be dark, the question is, how is this darkness going to be dispelled? It seems to be very difficult. If darkness is present only in one room, we can light a lamp in only that room and the darkness will be dispelled in that room. But if the darkness is everywhere and it is all pervasive as it is in the night time, lighting a single lamp is not sufficient to dispel this darkness everywhere. So it appears to be deep darkness. So Maya, its understanding of Maya is compared to this scenario, that how difficult it is to dispel the darkness of the night. In the same way, it is very difficult for us to understand what this Maya is. Lakshyate atra swabhavo asyaha. So the nature of this Maya, swabhava, is very difficult to be understood. Asyaha swabhavaha lakshyate atra. So it is very difficult to be clear about what this Maya is, what is its real nature, and so on. However, This difficulty is said to be only for the beginning sadhakas or those who are still embedded in the worldly life. Recall that before embarking on the study of Vedanta, for the study of Vedanta to be effective, sadhana chatushtaya sampatti is very, very important and essential. These fourfold qualifications, hmm, viveka, vairagyam, shamadhi shatka sampatti, and mumukshutvam. These fourfold qualifications are extremely imperative, essential, mandatory for the study of Vedanta to be successful. So, among these qualifications, this Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka Sampatti, all these essentially have to do with the mastery over the mind and sense organs. How this mastery is gained, that is given by Viveka and Vairagya. The mastery itself is described in the six-fold disciplines of Samadhi, Shatka Sampatti, all those things. Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana. So, this person who is a master of his own mind and his or her own sense organs, such a person, for such a person, understanding this Maya is very easy. It is not difficult at all. How? What is the example given here for that? Saudamini Nashyati. Just as the lightning, Saudamini means lightning, appears for only an instant and it appears in a flash and it appears to be, what do you say? It appears to be a brilliant light, right? It appears to be a brilliant light in the sky, but it lasts only for a fraction of a second. It is like infinite power, but it lasts only for a fraction of a second. So, like this Maya, even though it is apparently having such a great power that it sort of confuses the human mind and hides Brahman, apparently, in spite of having such a Shakti, in spite of being such a Shakti, Munibihi Samprakshyamana Nashyati Saudamini Iva. Just as the lightning is destroyed within the fraction of a second, in the same way, when the Muni he means the person who is a master of his own mind and sense organs, Manana Shilaha, the person who is capable of doing deep inquiry, when that such a person inquires, Samprakshyamana iva, when such a person inquires into the nature of Maya, immediately, just as the lightning vanishes in the fraction of a second, Maya also vanishes in the fraction of a second. So, for such a person, it is very easy to remove. Whereas for the beginning level sadhakas, those who are yet to cultivate the sadhana jushtaya sampatti, or those who are still immersed in worldly life, whose desires have not left their mind, etc., for them it is very difficult. That is the message of this verse. So, while it is difficult, it is easy. That is the message we have to take. Therefore, our goal has to be to cultivate the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti and then do the inquiry, then it becomes very easy. That is the idea here. So, with this idea in mind, now let us go into the next set of verses in this chapter, which describes the relationship of Maya with the individual. The relationship of Maya with the Brahman was described in the previous verses. Now, the relationship of Maya with the individual is described. Let us read. Maya Brahmopakata Avidya Jivashraya Prokta Chida Chida Chidaschid Granthischetas Tadakshayam Nyayama Mokshat. So Maya Brahmopakata. Maya is that which is related to Brahman. Avidya Jivashraya Prokta. Now, this Maya, in its specific individualistic aspect, appears in the mind of the individual as avidya, jivashraya. Jiva is the individual consciousness. That is, normally when we say the word I, what we mean, this person, this individual who is going through one lifetime after another lifetime and so on. That is the jiva we have seen before. You should also remember the various sharirams with which the jiva is related. Hmm. Sukshma shariram, sthula shariram, karana shariram, ityadi. So these three sharirams with which jiva is related, at the core of this three sharirams, there is what is known as avidya. At the core of the jiva's relationship with the sariram, what is known as avidya is there. And this avidya is nothing but the individualistic aspect of Maya. The word avidya itself means ignorance. So when we say ignorance, we have to talk about ignorance of what? So here it is ignorance of the real nature. The jiva is ignorant of the real nature of its own self, its own atma. That is, jiva is ignorant of its own real nature. So this ignorance of one's own real nature is termed as avidya. This is the individualistic aspect of Maya, the Shakti of Brahman. So Jiva Shraya Avidya Prokta. So when this Avidya is talked about, when this Maya is talked about in the context of the Jiva, in association with the Jiva, it is termed as Avidya. Now, how does this affect the individual? That is given in the next verse. Chid Chidaha Chidash Chid Grantish Chetaha Chetaha Chid Chid and Achit. A mix of these two things is called chetaha, is called the mind. So what does this avidya bring about? This avidya brings about a confluence or a association of some two differing entities, two distinct entities which really cannot be associated with each other. What are these two entities? Chit and achit. That is the Chit Chaitanyam, which is Atma, and Achit, which is nothing but the Sharirams, the various Sharirams, Thula, Sukshma, and Karana Sharirams. These are Achit. These are the Sharirams are not alive, they are not endowed with consciousness, they are Jadavastu, part of the world. They are part of Srishti. Whereas this Atma is Chaitanyam, it is Chit, it is the conscious principle. It is not created or destroyed ever, unlike the world. It is ever existing, it is eternal entity. The world is continuously created and manifested and unmanifested and so on. It goes through change and all that. The Sharirams also manifested and unmanifested, they also go through change. Whereas this Chaitanyam or Atma never goes through change. It is ever the consciousness principle. It is never becoming the object. All these distinctions are there which separate the Chaitanyam and Jadavastu, right? The Chit aspect and the Achit aspect. The Chaitanyam can never become really associated with the Jadavastu because of the varying characteristics. There is no overlap there. The Shariram and Atma can never overlap. However, such a connection or an association or an overlap is created by this avidya because the person forgets his or her own real nature. Therefore, the person mistakes something else for its nature. So, when I don't know that I am the Atma, I associate myself with the body. Which body? Causal body, Karana Shariram, subtle body, Suksha Shariram, and the Sthula Shariram or the gross body. With all these three bodies, I associate myself. I begin to think I am the suffering Jiva, I am the suffering individual, I am not Atma, I am not Brahman. This confusion is created because of the existence of this avidya. This avidya is nothing but ignorance of the true nature. Because I am ignorant of my true nature, I am confused. I confuse myself with something else. What are these? the sharirams, etc. So this is the result of Maya, and this is the result of avidya. Now this result of avidya, how does it get destroyed? That is given in the last section, the last part of this verse, that akshayam gneyama mokshat. So in a slightly negative way, it is given until the time moksha is gained, until the instant moksha is achieved. Amokshat tad akshayam gneyam. This ignorance, this confusion between chid and achid is not going to be destroyed. So what is the point here? The point is we have to push ourselves towards moksha. We have to push ourselves towards jnanam. So because the avidya is the cause, the jnanam has to be the cure. The ignorance is cause, jnanam, knowledge, has to be the cure. So ignorance of Atma is the cause, jnanam of Atma, Atma jnanam or Brahma jnanam is the cure. So this Brahma jnanam itself is the cause for moksha. And until that time that this Brahma jnanam is not gained, Atma jnanam is not gained, until that time the confusion will persist. That is the message of this verse. So one has to move towards Atma jnanam. Now let us read the next verse, which elaborates on the this confusion which apparently arises. Ghata matha kutyairavritam akasham tat tadahvayam bhavati tadvad avidyavritam chaitanyam jiva ityuktaha. So here this avidyavritam chaitanyam jiva ityuktaha. That is the second half of the verse. So what is this saying? This chaitanyam or atma gets a name called jiva because of being covered, quote unquote covered, by avidya, because of being affected, quote unquote affected by avidya. Chaitanyam or the atma gets the name called jiva. So you see, individual or jiva is only a name given to the self. This is the greatest message here. The reality is I am Atman, whereas I think I am the suffering individual. I think I am the Karta and Bhokta. I think I am going through multiple lifetimes, suffering for my karma, earning some karma, then enjoying the karma, suffering for my karma, earning the karma, enjoying the karma. So I keep shifting between Karta, Bhokta, etc. The individual keeps going through this lifetime after lifetime of samsara. But this individual is only reality, his reality. The reality of this individual consciousness is only as a name level. It is not fundamentally real at all. This is the message here. Chaitanyam, avidyavritam chaitanyam, jiva ityuktaha. Jiva iti bhavataha nahi. Right? It is not becoming into jiva, is not chaitanyam, is not becoming into a jiva. Chaitanyam gets called as jiva. It is given a name called jiva. What is the result? Why is this name coming? New name giving given to the chaitanyam. That new name is coming because of the association apparently with ignorance. When the self is unaware of its own nature, when I remain unaware of my own nature, I have to call myself as an individual. This is the message. So one example is given for that, which is easy for us to understand. What is this? This is the famous spot space or room space example, which is given in the Bhashyas. Ghata matha kutyaihi Avritam akasham tat tadahvayam bhavati. So, uh, let us say you are in a certain room, right? And then you say the space within this room is called, let us say, the puja room. Let us say the space, puja room space. The space is within the puja room. That is called puja room space. The space within the hall, that is called the hall space. The space within the drawing room is called drawing room space. The space within the kitchen is called kitchen space. Now you think about these spaces within different rooms. Now you think about this, whether space between the rooms in across the rooms are different really, but being given only different names. Whether it is really different or being given different names by us for the purpose of convenience. In other way, you can think, is it really the case that the space is getting divided really into multiple spaces, or the division is apparent? The division is not real. In fact, if you think about it, it is that the various rooms of the house, the entire house itself is allocated, is available within space, which is universally available. Without space, there cannot be a house. Without space, there cannot be a kitchen. Without space, there cannot be a hall. Without space, there cannot be a drawing room. Without space, there cannot be a puja room, etc. So the availability of space creates the possibility of these rooms to exist. And when these rooms exist, for the purpose of transactions alone, we give them different names as though space has been divided into different things. But really, space is one only, it is indivisible space, but this indivisible space is apparently divided. Right. So, in the same way, this Chaitanyam is being given a special name called Jiva. And just like one Karana Shariram, one Sukshma Shariram, one Sthula Shariram, attached to this, there is a particular Jiva. And to another Sharir, threefold Sharirams, there is another Jiva. I am there, my family members are there, my neighbors are there, then the entire, all the other creatures in the world are there. All these are multiple jivas, isn't it? That is the way we think. However, here Shastra is saying that these are not really multiple jivas. That is also the message gained to be gained by this verse, that these jivas are not really different from each other, just like the space is not really different from each other. Then what are these? Where is the difference coming from? The difference is coming only because of the existence of different sharirams. The substance is one, the sharirams are multiple, but it appears as though the substance itself has become multiple because of ignorance in our minds. So here, ghata, mata, kudyaihi, avritam, akasham, tattadahvayam bhavati. So just as the space within the ghata, the pot, the space within the matha, let's say some room, the space surrounding the wall, the space within the walls, kutyahi, avritam akasham. So when the space is surrounding all these things, they get some names associated with these things. So ghatakasha, mathakasha, kudyakasha, like that. Right? So where the room space, the walls space, the space within the room space, etc. These are some special name given to the same space when there is an apparent association with these objects. So these objects create the or manifest the name only. They don't really manifest the space itself. Right? These manifest only the names given to space. They don't really manifest the space itself. They don't really create the space. The space is ever existing. It is indivisible, but it gets some names because of these apparent associations. In the same way, Chaitanyam is ever existing. It is ever present. It is indivisible, but it gets apparently divided due to association with avidya. This is the message here. So the avidya, which is nothing but the individualistic aspect of Maya, affects the jiva, not really speaking, but because of ignorance of the Atman, it seems to affect the Chaitanyam and manifest this entity called jiva. That's all. Okay. Now let us move on to next verse. Nano kathamawaranam syad ajnanam brahmano vishuddhasya suryasyeva tamisram ratribhavam saprakashasya. So here there is a rhetorical question which is raised here by Bhagavad Pada. The idea here is that the Maya or the Avidya does not really affect the Jiva, does not really affect the Atman, does not really affect Brahman, because this affectation is not possible. Brahman is ever existing and it is unchanged and it remains as it is, and it is ever the pure consciousness principle. Atman, pure consciousness principle, ever existing, unchanged, and ever the subject, and so on. So these Brahman, which is nothing but Atman, this is not getting affected in any way by Maya or Avidya. So an example is given for this in the next half of the verse. Suryasyeva tamisram ratribhavam saprakashasya. So ratribhavam tamisram, the darkness of the night. So recall the example which was given before. The darkness of the night does not affect the light of the illumining sun. The sun is illumined by its own nature, Swaprakasha. The sun is, Surya is Swaprakasha. It is self-illumining. It is by nature illumining. It dispels the darkness. It is not doing any extra work to dispel the darkness. By its own nature, it dispels the darkness. So this darkness may affect everything, but the darkness never affects the sun itself. Right? In the same way, Ajnanam Avaranam Katham Syat. Vishuddhasya Brahmana Ajnanam Avaranam Katham Syat. How can the pure consciousness principle, which is the self-illumining principle, which is nothing but pure knowledge, how can that be affected by this lack of knowledge, which is ignorance? Consciousness itself can never be unconscious because of Ajnanam. Consciousness principle can never become unconscious. The pure consciousness principle can never become unconscious. It is like, how can the sun be covered by darkness? The sun can never be covered by darkness. In the same way, I, the Atman, Brahman, can never be covered by ignorance. So this covering by ignorance itself is a aspect of Maya only. Even the covering by ignorance itself is only a illusion. Question is whether we can see that as an illusion or not, whether we can understand that as an illusion or not. This is the question. It is very easy to miss the point here. The point here being, what is illusion? You see it as an illusion. What is this ajnanam? Ajnanam is only a apparently there. It is apparently affecting you. It is not really affecting you. It is as though the king wanted to play the role of a beggar in a play, in a drama, and the king dons the role and the king dons the robes of the beggar and starts the drama, starts the play. And in the course of the play, the king forgets he is the king and he acts or he begins to believe as though he is the beggar. Really. But in spite of the king believing he is the beggar, during the course of the play, he never becomes the beggar really. Really speaking, he is always the king. So in this way, in spite of the jiva saying, I am suffering, I am karta, I am bhokta, I have to live, I have to be born again, I have to die. Yo, I am afraid. Hare Ram, what is going to happen? So many worries and trials and tribulations of life. In spite of all the complaints, the person who is complaining is nothing but Brahman itself. This is the reality. So know that and be happy. That is the message. Right? Know that, know the truth and be happy. This is the idea. So with this, let us proceed. So further elaborating the same idea, Dinakara Kiranotpannair Meghair Achhadyate Yatha Suryah Nakhalu Dinasya Dinatvam Tair Vikrutai Sandra Sanghataihi. So another example, beautiful example is given. Dinakara Kiranotpannaihi Meghaihi Achhadyate Yatha Suryah. So the sun is the cause for the sun, Surya or Dinakara is the cause for the creation of the clouds. So you know how the clouds are formed? The clouds are formed by this evaporation mechanism from the sea, and then slowly it collects as water vapor and in the sky, and then these water vapor particles collect all together and they become what is known as the cloud. And from these clouds are become dark, and they apparently hide the sun sometimes, right? They are not really hiding the sun, but from our point of view, the sun is hid by these clouds which are created by the sun itself. Correct? Apparently, there is a hiding. In the same way, there is a uh, uh, apparent hiding of the real nature of the self by this Maya or Avidya. There cannot be a real hiding because, after all, the Atman Brahman is the source for avidya itself. Avidya or Maya is only Shakti of Atma, Shakti of Brahma. This Shakti, how can it hide uh, the person who is holding that power? The power cannot hide the person who is holding the power. See, suppose I can, I have the power to lift something. Suppose I have the power to lift 10 kilos of weight. This power of me, my power cannot be used to hurt me. Correct. I have the power to lift. That power cannot be used to harm me or hurt me in any way. If the power belongs to somebody else, then it is possible perhaps. But if it is my own power, how can it hide me? How can it hit me? How can it harm me? It is not possible. In the same way, Brahman's Shakti is Maya. This, just like the sun is the cause for creation of the clouds, and these clouds cannot hurt the sun or harm the sun or really hide the sun in any way. In the same way, Maya, which is the Shakti of Brahman, can never hide or destroy or harm Maya in any way, really speaking. But it appears as though Brahman is being hid. Atman is being hid by Avidya, Brahman is being hid by Maya, and so on. So, na khalu dinasya dinatvam tair vikritaihi sandra sanghatai. Really speaking, Dinasya dinatvam. So the really speaking, the brightness of the daytime, the brightness of the sun during the daytime can never really be hidden by these dark clouds, no matter how wondrous they are, no matter how deep they are, they cannot really hide the brilliance of the sun. In the same way, the Atman, which is self-illumining, can never hide the uh, can never be hidden by the greatness of Maya, in spite of Maya being so powerful and so on. Its power is limited by Brahman. So, as the last verse of this particular chapter, let us see. Ajnanena tathatma shuddhopi chhadyate suchiram na parantu loka siddha pranishu tat chetana shakti. So one beautiful clue here is given to us by Bhagavad Pada, where he is saying that in spite of all efforts by Maya, some aspect of this Chaitanyam can never be covered by Maya. Ajnanena tatha atma shuddhopi chhadyate suchiram. So just like the clouds seem to apparently cover the sun, So similarly, ajnanena, this ignorance or avidya, Atma, Shuddhopi, in spite of this Atma being pure consciousness, it's like a pure light. Just like the sun is there, it is pure source of light. In the same way, this Atma is the pure consciousness principle, unadulterated by any Shariram Ityadi. It apparently Chadyate Suchiram. So, for a long time, this ignorance has been apparently hiding the Atma. The samsari remain samsari because of this ignorance which is hiding the Atma since long time. This is possible. In spite of that, certain aspect of the Chaitanyam is never hidden by the Atma. What is this certain aspect? Chetana Shaktihi, the power of knowing. This power of knowing is available with all pranis. Pranishu, all the creatures, this power of being aware is available. Loka Siddha, it is known to everybody. In spite of this Maya hiding, but all the pranis, all the creatures have the consciousness principle embedded in the um, power, in the visible or tangible power, which is known as Chetana Shaktihi, the power of knowing. What is this? The power of awareness. Every creature is aware of its surroundings. When you are there, when you are listening to this, or when you are sitting in your place, you are aware of your surroundings, you are aware of your body, you are aware of many things which are there around you. All sense organs are active in whatever way they are active. All the mind is also active, and you are aware of the mind. The structure of the body is available, you are aware of the structure of the body. So this power of awareness or knowing power is available. This knowing power or awareness power is nothing but a ability gained by the presence of Chaitanyam or Atma. This power is not available in the body naturally. Only when the body is connected to the Atma via this life, via this life principle, living things. So, Pranishu, in such living things, this power is available, and this power is purely because of the existence of the Chaitanyam or the Atma. So, the Atma acknowledges its own existence in the um, power which is the Chetana Shakti, which is the knowing power. So, as long as you are aware, know that you are Atma, and therefore nothing can harm you. This is the idea. Since you are aware, you are conscious, therefore you are consciousness principle, therefore you are unaffected by the Sharirams. With this teaching, with this message, let us end our session today and continue in the next session. Om Shri